afternoon all. Today's session is Industrial Instrumentation and Automation, and the topic is Overview of Automation System and Architecture of Industrial Automation System. The session will be led by Dr. Ramesh Kumar Sir. He is the Assistant Professor at Government Engineering College, Thrissur, in SSS Department. He is working there since 2005. Has done his BTech in Sibley in Regional Engineering College, Calicut, and MTech in Instrumentation and Control from NIT Calicut. Then he has done his PhD in System and Control Engineering from IIT Bombay. He has published 4 journals and presented 12 international conferences. He also guided 6 MTech projects and 2 PhD projects, now guiding one PG project. Apart from the teaching, he is also invested in various extracurricular activities such as NSS, and also he is the staff member of college magazine that has won state level prize Manorama Yuva Challenge. So it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Ramesh Kumar Sir to start the session.
Or partially automated, right? Going to the next slide. Okay, please move to the second argument. So, what you can say is the simplest type of automatic control is which combines a measured value of a process with the desired set value. For example, how can you make a simple system to an automated or an automatic system? For example, the room where we are sitting, we may have a ceiling fan. The ceiling fan an automated system. The normal procedure, the normal way we are operating the fan is that if you switch on, the fan will work at a certain speed, right? And if you vary the regulator, the speed can be regulated. So that means it's an open loop system. If you vary the input, the speed of the fan will be varied. That is what you call it as an open loop system, right? So how can you make such an open loop system into a or a closed loop system, right? So this is an what you can do is you can place or you can have a sensor to sense the speed of your fan, current speed, right? So that's the main thing that you need. You need to sense the speed. Another sensor, you need to check the temperature. Okay, so for a particular temperature, you have to keep the fan at a certain speed. You should have a certain rules, right? So accordingly, the present temperature of the room has to be measured, as well as the present speed of the fan has to be measured, which has to be sensed and which is need to be converted into some equivalent. And the reference speed you have corresponding to a reference voltage you have. So correspondingly, you need to measure at each time you need to measure the or you need to sense the speed, and you need to bring the speed to a the reference value. So for that, you may compare that both, and you are converting that into voltages, and that the error whatever you are getting will be giving into the controller, and the controller may have certain control some rules will be there. Accordingly, we are making an open loop system into a closed loop system, right? So this is what I mentioned in this slide. So in a simplest type of automatic control loop, a controller combines a measured value of a process with a desired value. So we'll have a desired value, and the actual output value we'll have that will be combined, and the error of that will be given into a controller. So you have a lot of controllers. Different types of controllers are there, like PID controllers, then model reference adaptive controllers, sliding mode controllers, fuzzy logic controllers, lot of different kinds of. So we can choose a particular controller according to our application. So the function controller is to perform well even in the presence of certain disturbance or certain unwanted signals. Okay, so going to the next slide. For working of this system, whatever we have mentioned, you have certain tools to make a system automated. What are those different tools, automation tools that you require for a process control industry or a process control, right? So we might have heard about the artificial neural network, ANN. Okay, so that's a mathematical model or a computational model that is by the structure or functional aspect of human or the biological neural network, right? So this is trying to imitate the functions of the neurons. So we know that the brain is the coordinate, I mean central process unit. I mean the brain controlling being. So inside the brain there will be number of neurons. So corresponding to a particular information, the brain is computing that particular control, or you can say the signal that has to be given to different organs. Accordingly, the organ is responding. So that kind of a complicated network we are trying to make using artificial neural network, right? So we should have a model of that. What do you need to function? Do is you need to train the network for different inputs and wait for them to. So accordingly, if you give certain other coding, so that is an artificial neural network, simply trying to imitate the function of a neurons or a biological system. Then other kind of a tool, I mean, logic control. So which is actually used in most of the now day to day, I mean for the control application, programmable logic control, which is actually it is going to discuss in the last module. So which is an operator level local control panel that control and monitor the field devices. Then distributed control system, then what we call the SCADA you might have heard. This is the control software which we are using in the substations, electrical substations, where the monitoring and the monitoring, recording, and the control of every action as the breaker, relays, everything is embedded inside a particular panel. We call it as so the what you call the recording and the monitoring and the control, everything will be done by this SCADA unit. So which is these are popular automation tools that we are using in any kind of modern process control industries, right? Next slide. So now this is what we have discussed about the systems. Okay, so there will be open loop system or a closed loop system or an automated system. A closed loop, we call it as an automated system. Okay, now what we are going to discuss is how to make an open loop system, or how to make an normal system into an automated system, right? So what are the components required to make a system? And functional elements of an industrial automation system. So you need a sensor, instrumentation part is there, control part is there, supervision and the operational management. Everything will be there. So all these function has to be communicated. I mean, all these block has to be communicated, exchanging the information and for overall control and coordination and the optimized way of operation of a plant or a factory or a process, right? So this of an industrial automation. Move to the next slide. Now, please move to, okay. Now, industrial control system. Okay, so by industrial control system means we denote the sensor system, actuator systems, and as a controller. So you need a sensor to measure any of the physical quantities, right? So that can be temperature, pressure, speed, angular displacement, velocity, any physical quantities. So that has to be sensed. Okay. The sense information has to be there, and there is some final control elements to process the control, right? Then controllers are essentially elements that accept command signals from human operator or a supervisory system as well as feedback from the process sensors and produce or compute signals that are to be fed to the actuators. Things that you will have a reference value. So the output quantity, it may be any physical quantities that has to be sensed, and that has to be conditions, and that has to be multiplied or amplified or filtered. So that signal has to be converted into some equivalent values with respect to the set value. Then the error has to be produced. So the error, according to that error, the controller has to be worked. The controller will have certain control law. So those this control law has to produce a control action. So that final control actions will be carried out by your actuators. So actuators are the final control element which actually controls the, right. So accordingly, the output will be varied, or the output will be steered to the set values, right? So the control system can be either classified into a continuous control or potential control, and the from this block will be given to your plant such a way that your plant has to produce a desired value, right? So this is the general slide. We have a general block for any control system. Okay, you can see that here you have a reference or a command input, and there will be an output, right? So if it is an open loop system, there will not be any feedback. You will have an input and you will have a plant and open loop. So this is example. No, please go to the previous slide. Open loop system. Now you see this block. This is a typical control loop, closed loop system. So here you see that output is sensed using certain sensors, right? Forget about the D's. These are actually disturbances. We forget about the old disturbance. You have a sensor that will sense the output, which will have sensor is having their own electrical components. So that components will convert this output value into an equivalent reference voltage, maybe a voltage. So these two voltages will be compared, and the error is giving into your controller. So controller will produce an output in proportion to certain control law which is done in that controller block. So produce some physical motion, maybe torque, force, etc. So if this input will be voltage, so that voltage has to produce corresponding a mechanical output or a mechanical motion. So that is giving into your plant, maybe opening or a closing of a certain valves. That's a mechanical operation, right? Or the actuator operation. So that will actually control plant. So plant will try to follow the reference set point value. So you'll have an output which has to be ideally reference value. So until then, your controller will work. So the function of your controller is to drive or steer the plant such a way that should produce an output to follow a reference input. So this is what you call a closed loop control system. So whereas in open loop system, you don't have any function or any what do you call the any control over the plant, which will respond with only with respect to changes in the input. Other the output be same as whatever input in proportional to the whatever input that you are given. So here you have an additional degree of freedom that you can regulate or you can control the output according to your requirement. It can be either a flow or a speed or a temperature or a pressure or a displacement, anything. So that has to follow, or maybe some angular rotation or angular speed. So you have to function the controller and sensor and actuator such a way that output should follow a reference. Even in D0, DSS are various different uncertainties that is coming into this block from different sources. So even there are certain disturbances your plant or your controller has to perform to reduce the disturbance. We call it as so the controller has to be it should have all performance advantage performance as a qualities. There are different controllers. They may have their own advantages, and you have to choose a particular controller according to the moving to the next. So, this is the next slide. Okay, this is the hierarchy and automation systems. Okay, you can see what you can is there are different levels, different hierarchies, right? So process the level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, etc. So what you can see is in the level 0, which are the components, sensors and placed very close to the process. I mean the downward, I mean the down block rectangular block is what we call the process. Okay, so in the level 0, which are close to the process, which actually sensors and actuators which are used to translate signals. Now, level one actually, we have controllers, monitoring system acquire process information from sensors and which and drives the actuators. The automatic control block, along level one block, which actually gathers information from the sensors and which actually moves to the controller. So, which include data acquisition, plan monitoring, and opening and closing of control loop. And the level two is the supervisory or the control loop or the control level, where this level commands the automatic controller by setting the target or a set points. That is what how you make the system closed loop. So which includes the work, the blocks include plan monitoring, process control, and fault detections, if any. So all these works are included in the supervisory control block. And moving to the level 3 block, which is the production and control. So which actually solves the decision making problem like resource allocation, production to meet the target, and the maintenance, etc. More or like a process. Okay, and the last block, that is enterprise level, which actually deals with the commercial activities and the technical activities, which include the market and customer analysis, order and sale statistics, production planning, and order balance, etc. So together, all these blocks are which will form the automation pyramid. Right. Now move to the next slide. We have already mentioned there will be a plant, there will be an output and the input, right? So now how can you make a system automated? So what are the different things that you require to make a system automated? Now we are going to discuss each terms, each blocks that are required to make a particular system automated. So first and the foremost thing is the sensing and the actuation element. So we call it as a sensor, right? So these elements, sensors actually interface directly to the process equipments and the machines. Okay, so sensor has to be placed physically over that particular plant of interest. Okay, and idea is to sense a particular quantity of interest, right? So it can be temperature, pressure, volt, anything, temperature, any physical variables can be there. So that has to be sensed, right? So the function of the sensor is to sense that quantity, translate that physical process signals such as temperature, and need to convert that into an equivalent electrical or a pneumatical form. These signals can be used for analysis, decision making, and computation of control inputs, right? So sensor is the building block of any industrial instrumentation system, because you need to sense that physical quantities and you need to convert it. Okay. So this sensor, this signal analysis, decision, and finally computation of control inputs. So these computed control convenient in electrical or pneumatic forms of information. So again, this form of energy need to be converted either a pressure, torque, or a heat, or a force, or a flow rate.
Can we move to the Q&A session? We have a 10 minutes Q&A session after 20 minutes. So we have a couple of questions, then we can deal with. After that, we can continue. Is that fine, sir?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, no problem.
So I can ask a few questions. The first one is, what is DCS?
Distributed control system. So distributed control system means a big process. If we have a number of interconnected system, right? So if you consider the case of a big process control industries, there will be a lot of subsystems, right? So all together you are distributing into different decoupled systems and designing control for each block separately. So all together the function in a desired output. I mean a desired set. Okay, so that is what you call the distributed control.
One more question is that why we need automation in industries?
The thing is that you need to reduce as many number of labors, like minimum number of labors, like human effort has to be reduced. Okay, so you can reduce the number of persons required to for particular task. You can reduce the number of persons for a particular task, and you can improve the safety. Even if you are using, I mean, some cases you are not supposed to. I mean, ഞാൻ പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പം some welding, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ some mines, some where the temperature or where the condition is such a way that you are not going, you cannot employ a human being there. Some remote location, like certain remote temperature, I mean the some high temperature conditions, etc. So where you cannot incorporate. So if you are trying to avoid this kind of human being involvement in certain process, and you can improve the safety, reduce the labor, you can also improve the product quality and reduce the routine maintenance, like routine manual task can reduce by if you are automating a particular industry. So that means the cost is also only the initial cost may build, then running cost will be too less when compared to involvement of human being.
Okay, sir. Then you can continue the session. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, again, we're moving. Main component of any industrial automation system is the sensor. Okay, so sensor is we have scientific and engineering sensors and instrument system of a different size of variety, weight, cost, complexity, and technology are used in the modern industry. There are different kinds of sensors available in market, and therefore a particular each sensors are applied. I mean used for a particular. However, a close look would reveal that all of them are composed of a set of typical functional elements connected in a specified way to provide signal. Okay, move to the next slide. The functional configuration of a typical sensor system in any industrial automation system or particular control applications. Okay, sensor itself is not a single component, but it is having a different components. So, what are the different components? Or environment, or there is a place from plant from which you are absorbed, sensing that physical quantity. So there is a sensing element. Then another main thing, it's kind of a transducer is actually of a transducer which convert any physical variable into an equivalent voltage, right? So here you can see that there is a medium where there is the fine sensing element is placed in that medium, which is actually sensing that physical quantities into an converting into an equivalent voltage. So you need a signal conditioning element in the sense that so the quantity that you are sensed or into a of very small magnitude. So you need to convert, or the another thing is that whatever the quantities that you have measured may have a different kinds of noises due to certain disturbance or some other environmental condition. So you need to filter out all the noises, or maybe sometimes you may need to amplify it because you need to produce a mechanical motion, or you need to have a significant voltage of the level of the reference value, means you need to have a certain scaling also. So for that you need a certain signal conditioning element, a signal processing element, and final target signal handling element. So all together we call it as the sensor. So sensor is nothing but component which need to sense the output from the plant. That has to be given to the other blocks. Okay, so this is the foremost important block, sensor. And I will tell you there are some drawbacks with the sensor, which are what are the drawbacks mean? Sensor is highly susceptible to any kind of mechanical vibrations. So sensors can get damaged due to the mechanical vibrations and the environmental conditions. That is the main. The thing is that sensors are actually very costly. that is depends upon the application, even though sensors are costly, right? So there are other options. There are some place where you cannot employ a sensor. So in that case, sometimes we use some what do you call the Kalman filters for an observer or a sliding mode observer. Any can also be used to estimate the state from the output, even if the sensors are not possible to use. So sensor is having a drawback. So in that case, you can go for an observer to estimate the state from the output. So that is also possible. Okay. So moving into the next slide. Okay. So this the figures of different kinds of sensors available in the market. You can see these are different kinds of sensors. So sound sensor mean which senses the sound. Touch sensor mean tactile. So which will sense the touch. Then light sensors are there. Ultra are there. So all the sensor which are transducer that convert a physical stimulus from one form into a useful form to measure the stimulus. Basically, they are converted into analog and discrete. So these are all different sensors available in the market. Moving to the next slide. So these are other sensors. So all this kind of physical, maybe temperature, proximity, gyroscopes, etc. So idea is to measure any physical quantities. Okay, so it will have a blocks whatever we have mentioned in that basic configurations. Moving to the next slide. Okay, now moving to the other important part. An important part is that is industrial actuator system, right? So systems convert the computed by the control system into form that can be applied to the actual process, right? So we have a plant, right? So we have a sensor, output is to be sensed by the sensors, and there will be a reference value, error will be given to the controller. The controller will produce certain control action by some control laws, decisions. So that control action has to be converted into some physical variable that has to be given into the plant. So you need interfacing or a block in between these two. So that is called the actuators, which actually convert the physical the control action into a physical form. Okay. So in the same way, reverse way of a physical variable that is converted into electrical, where the electric is converted. So first it converts the form of the variable into an approximate physical variable such as torque, flow, pressure, etc. Secondly, it amplifies the energy level of the signal manifold to able to cause changes in the process variable. So process variable to be changed means correspondingly you need certain physical, I mean the physical action that will be very high. The signal also. So that way the actuator will convert the control action signal given from the controller block into the plant. So these two blocks has to be the control action has to be converted into a physical variable using the actuators. Okay. What are the different blocks of the next slide? What are the functional configurations of a typical actuator system? So you can say similar to that of the sensors. You have a signal processing element. So amplify it means a control signal that is coming from the controller block will be also of very low magnitude. So that energy may be not sufficient to produce a sufficient mechanical motion, maybe the movement of a valve. So you need certain large amount of force, maybe some pneumatic actuator or pneumatic valves. Okay, so you need to amplify that signal. So variable conversion element is needed because electrical force, I mean the electrical energy has to be converted into mechanical. Then there is an energy. So maybe the opening or closing of into the plant. So all together we have the actuator system, signal processing element, amplifier element, variable conversion element, and the energy conversion element. So just reverse as that of a sensor. Mechanical, maybe position or velocity. An actuator is also a transducer because it changes one type of physical variable into some alternative form. So an actuator is usually activated by a low level command signals. So an amplifier may be required to provide sufficient power to drive the actuators. Okay. So here next block. Next slide. Okay. So now you can see what are the built actuators. You can see that here you have a mechanism. Mechanism is actually can be either an electrical or a hydraulic. Maybe depends upon the principle. Control element is there. So what you can see, there will be logical operations. Okay, or the output is sensed, actuator output is sensed. There will be a logical signal. So processing and amplification block actually generate the equivalent voltage, right? So that voltage or hydraulic or pneumatic actuators which actually moves maybe opening of a or closing of a valve. So that action to be given to the final actuator element and into the plant. So these are the building blocks of the actuators. Next slide. So now here is the basic classification of actuators based on the principle of operations. Okay, so principle of operation can be either electromagnetic. Electromagnetics may be just the principle of a motor, or an electro-pneumatic or hydraulic, electrostatic, piece of or magnetostrictive example. So these are different working principle or the working principle of actuators. I mean the how the force has been generated. These principles, the mechanical force or mechanical torque has been generated. So using that torque, the final control action will be incorporated over the process. Okay. So again, there are a lot of classification depends upon the classification. Even in the electrical actuators, you can see that electrical motors are there, DC motors, AC motors, stepper motors, solenoids, then hydraulic actuators. The hydraulic actuators we might have seen in the JCBs. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ crane, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ some trucks they are using to how they are lifting the loads with the pneumatic, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ hydraulic jacks, how the heavy weight has been lifted using a simple jacks. They are all kind of device which are using the hydraulic actuator principle, the pneumatic actuators, etc. So we'll have a example of a stepper motor and a servo motor in the next slide. Okay, so stepper motor how it is working. So first case it is like an open loop system. Okay, so you have a motor output is actually a rotation. Okay, then you can see that rotation is again converted into a linear motion. So there is a work table and there is a work part is there and your work head is there. So you need to, I mean, this is an open loop system, you don't have any control. So if you give a pulse rotate, so according to rotation the position of the work part and the work can be arranged and there is no closed loop control. But in the second case, the servo motor means it's an automatic, it's a closed loop motor. So in that case, what you can see is you can sense the speed using the optical encoder. There is an optical encoder is there, so it can sense the angular speed or angular rotation. So that has been given into the comparator block. There is an input or a reference is there. The error is giving into the DAC, so digital to analog converter. So according the pulse signal that you are giving into the motor will change. So correspondingly, the position of the work table can be adjusted. So this is a closed loop system. So what the optical encoder is nothing but a kind of sensor. Okay. So going to the next slide. Solenoid valves, solenoid actuators that we are seeing in many of the applications. So what you can see is here altogether the arrangement is inside an housing and there is a spring. There is a spring that you can see in the middle, the two electromagnets, and there is a stem which is actually allowed to move, which is connected to the armature. And at the end you can see there is a opening and the closing of the valves can be controlled using a knob there. Okay, now what you can see is that there is a control valve. So flow is coming from one side and the valve is opened and closed. Correspondingly, it will move, it will go into the output side or not, right? So when the coils, the electromagnet are supplied with an electrical supply that will a magnetic field. So there are electrical connections are there. So whenever these coils are excited, the armature, what the armature will move in the upward direction. Okay. The armature will always try to stay in the minimum position of reluctance. Okay. So there are certain properties. So whenever these electrical connections are given with the supply, electromagnets will become magnets and the magnetic field will be produced and your armature will move in the upward direction. So normally your valve is open, right? So these electrical connections are connected through certain relays. So whenever you need open, okay, supply to the coils are removed means the spring will discharge. Because the supply is removed means no more it will be automatic. So what happens is your spring will be discharged and the armature will come down and your valve will be closed. So normally the valves are open and whenever the relay is open, the coil become the charge will discharge. The coil become is not supplied with the electrical supply, so it will not work as a magnet. So the armature will come down and your valves will be closed. So that is working principle of a solenoid valve. Next slide. What you can see is there are different criteria to choose particular actuators for a particular application. We have different applications. Okay. So what are the selection criteria for? So one thing is usage factors, mean compatibility, temperature range, and hazardous area. Different important factors. You cannot place all the actuators in all the places because the performance will get affected due to the environmental condition like temperature and maybe according to the area, hazardous area. Then the speed of operation, sometimes you may need a high speed, sometimes the speed is not a matter. So in that case, the speed is an important factor. Then size and force. Yeah, that's the main important factor. You may have certain space restriction and size restriction. So accordingly, you have to choose a particular for the application. Then another thing is the frequency of operation. So there are different kinds of actuators which may damage even after if you use it for a number of operation is more. Frequency is important factor. Then safety and cost. So you have to choose a particular actuators according to all these factors. You need to consider all these factors while you are choosing a particular actuators for your applications. Go to the next slide. Now, actuators, what are the control valves? Okay, so control valves are nothing but actuators. Now, what are the different properties, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ different classifications of control valves? Okay, so control valves are used to conditions such as opening and closing, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ to regulate. Control valves are used to control the conditions such as flow, pressure, temperature, partially or fully. Valves, the function is, it can be temperature, it can be fluid or any medium. Okay, so opening and closing in response to the signal received from the controller. Yeah, so we have a controller and the actuator, and the actuator command will be giving into the valves. Accordingly, your valves are opening and closed. So which is can also be considered as the final control element. After controller and the actuator plan, you have the opening and closing of the valves are done by either the previous principle can be pneumatic or actuator. So next slide. Yeah. So this is an example of control. Okay, the water level control. How can you make a water level control automatic? What you can see is that there is an inlet of water into the tank and there is an outlet, Q out. Q is the inlet and Q out is the out, and there is a capital H is there. That is the desired level of water. Okay. Now the H, small h is the actual level of water. Now, how you make the system closed? I mean, the sensor, controller, actuators, valves are now that means an open loop system. If you give the input, it will produce a certain output. Okay, now how system closed loop? So here you can see what are the components you need. The first and the foremost element is you need to sense the present water level. So you need a sensor for that. So the first element is the sensor, right? Now the sensor output is the present you are giving into the controller, right? So controller will have a preset value. I mean the H value will be there, and this H you know from the sensor value. So correspondingly, an error will be giving to that controller block. So corresponding to a previous set value or a calculated value, certain decision, a control action will be developed. It can be any kind of controller. So the controller output that you are giving into the actuator, this is the electrical value that you are giving into the actuator, and the actuator is nothing but it generates certain physical motion, right? So that physical motion you are coupling into the valve. What the valve will do? The valve will open or close accordingly. Your requirement. It can be either move downward or it may move upward. If it move upward means your valves are closing. So valves are closing means you are controlling the out. I mean you are reducing the out, right? Or the valves are opening means you are discharging the output because the H has to come down. H, the small h has to equal to capital H. So accordingly, the control action will be generated, and the actuator is generating the physical control output. So that has to be given to the valve. According to the movement of the valves, you can regulate the H value to. So this is the simplest example of a automated system. This is nothing but a automatic water level controller using nammal ee parna ella blocks upayogichu. You have a sensor, controller, actuators and valves, right? Go to the yeah. These are the building blocks of different valves. It may have an actuator, positioner, valve body, etc. Okay, so it requires a control signal and a source of energy. Definitely, because the mechanical motion means you need certain kind of energy. So control signal normally to low energy can be electrical or pneumatic or a pressure or go to the next slide. Now basically the control classified into two according to the motion of the valves. So it can be rotary motion, normally having a ball or a butterfly or a plug type closures. Okay, then linear motion having a globe, diaphragm or a pinch type closure. So basically two types. One is rotary motion and one is linear motion. Next slide. Broadly, you are classifying the valves into two. One linear motion and one generate the rotary motion. So linear motion, you can see that it can be either a globe type or a diaphragm. You can see that or that knob, that stem is having 2, 5, 6 knobs. So if it moves in one direction, your the inlet be open, and if it moves in one direction, another direction the inlet will be closed. So the motion is actually a linear motion. So that is why we call it as the linear valves. Whereas the rotary motion can be or a, what do you call a butterfly kind of motion is there. I will show you the next slide. So according to that movement, your inlet of the outlet flow will be regulated. So move to the next slide. So here also you can see that the diaphragm kind of valve. So here what you can see is that the black allowed to according to that is exciting the diaphragm. So if the diaphragm moves the downs means your valve is closing. The diaphragm moves upward means your valves are opening. Whereas in you can see there is a knob, a plain or circular knob. You can see that if it is fully closed means your the wall face of the valve is closed. So if it is moved by an angle of 90 degree, your valve is completely open. So this kind of a valve we close we call it as a butterfly valves, which are actually high and high temperature. I mean molten fluid flows. rotary motion kind of valve. Right. So now, similar to the selection of the what do you call the sensor or the actuator, you have certain selection criteria for the valves. What are the selection criteria of the different kinds of valves that you are using for different applications? So you can see that main is noise and vibrations. Yeah, your vibrations are highly problematic. So the unwanted signal or unwanted disturbance also coming into mechanical vibrations can also affect the performance of the valves, because it is distorted or if it is damaged, means total inlet or the total flow can be get affected. So that's a problem. Then type of fluid to be controlled. Yeah, that is whether your fluid is of in the low temperature or a molten fluid or in between, whatever that means, that the different conditions are there. So all those criteria, all those environmental or the condition of the wall, that's because the material by which the valve is making also problem, right? Then another thing is inlet and the outlet pressures. So that is also important thing. Then specific gravity of the fluid, then flow direction, yeah, velocity of the fluid, temperature of operation is a very important factor in particular actuators. The leakage, cost, lifespan. These are the broad points to be taken care while you are choosing a particular valve for a particular applications. Next. This is a small topic that is there in the syllabus. Shape, memory, alloy. Right. So alloy is a combination of two different metals, right? So this shape memory is a particular alloy that is deformed when cold, but it returns to its previous shape when heated. Two different kinds of metal, so which is having a different, right? So this is an alloy which are actually made of two metals, right? So the property is different from that of the original metal. So the particular property of this shape memory alloy is that it can be deformed when cold and it can return to its when heated. Also cold memory metal, small metal, muscle wire, etc. So the very important property and very important application of this kind of a alloy is in the muscle fiber development. So there is a, because we are always trying to imitate or we are trying to mimic the actions of the human being using metals, even the robotics arm or the robotics purpose, right? So if you need to generate a mechanical motion or you try to generate the action of a muscle fibers, carried out in this area where how can you generate the mechanical action of a muscle fiber using this kind of memory alloys. And this property is it will it can be it can deform fastly, but it cannot come back to its original. I mean, the what do you call it? It cannot come back to its original position as fastly as in the earlier case. So that is a problem. So there are a lot of combination. I mean, what kind of metal can be joined to have a better performance, etc. Combinations. Okay, so parts are made of can be lightweighted, and the advantage is that the parts made of this one be lightweighted. Solid state alternatives to be can be also can be considered as an alternative to conventional actuators. There are different combinations of metals are using, and each have a better performance than the earlier existing. So kind of so this is a very important research area where you can find out what combination of shape memory or combination of metals are a best performance than the earlier existing kind of a shape memory alloy combination, right? So the applications, next slide. So applications, next slide. So the application got a wide range of application. Specifically, say robotics. Robotics is main application. Then automotives are civil structures, piping, communication, medical, optometry, dentistry, engines, etc. So it's got a wide range of application in the current scenario of automation and industrial automation applications. Okay, so I think I have covered whatever possible topics in the 1 hour. What I want to summarize is that automation in industry. How can you have a automated system which is having a superior performance to other open loop system? So you can improve the safety, reduce the labor and production cost. You can improve the product quality. Manual. So idea is to make most of the system as an automated as much as possible for a better performance and result. What are the different components you need for making any system to be an automatic? Is you need a sensor, you need a controller, you need a set of actuators and valve. There are for these if all the basic idea about this component.
So we have some questions. I can read it one by one, and then you can answer it. What is the difference between sensors and actuators?
Yeah. Okay, fine. Sensor is the component which actually sense the physical quantities. For example, DC motor, you need to control the speed. Yeah, you need to make the speed at a constant value. You need to measure the present speed, right? You don't know the present speed. So you need certain speed sensing device to sense that speed, whether it is a 1000 RPM or a 900 RPM or 800 RPM, etc. So that quantities has to be sensed and that has to be converted into a voltage because DC motor is supplied with the DC voltage. So you have a one voltage or a particular reference value will be there. So this has to be signal condition sensed and signal condition and also has to be converted in an equivalent voltage. So this is the function of the sensor to sense the physical variable, maybe speed, temperature, pressure, displacement, velocity, angular rotation, anything, right? Just like a transducer, where actuator which actually convert the control signal that coming from the controller to physical variable. Physical, I mean physical means that can be torque, force, or movement of a valves, etc. Which actually sense the physical variable, and actuator is the final control element which convert the control signal controller into physical variables.
Okay, sir. So may I move to the next question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The next question is, how shape memory alloy in daily life?
Daily life in the sense that number day-to-day life, it's actually a two-link robot. If you are creating the movement of an arm, how many different joints are there, number of joints are there, like universal, spherical, number of joints are there. You need to mimic the exact action of a muscle fibers. I mean, how this movement has been generated using the muscle fibers. So the muscle fiber is actually expands and contracts, right? This expansion and contraction can be imitated using a shape memory alloy, and the amount of deformation is depends upon the kind of material by which you are making, and another thing is how much the temperature that can be applied to that particular alloy. One question is coming in there in the chat box that I am telling. So how much deformation can be by the
actually continue, sir.
Deformation will be in terms of millimeter and maximum some centimeter, cannot be in terms of millimeters, right? So day-to-day life application specifically say robotics applications.
Okay, so we have another question I can ask. You can ask that. A Kalman filter is a filter, and how can it replace a sensor by a sensor? Please explain.
It's a very important question. Yeah, Kalman filter actually it's not it's a name is there as a filter, but it's not actually filter. It's actually an estimator. The sensor is having some drawbacks. So in that case, how can you read the sensor using certain observers and Kalman filter that I have mentioned in a slide? Okay. So what I'm telling is that if there are certain cases, if you have a system model, but you don't have any provision to measure the output. Even the output നമുക്ക് measurable അല്ലാത്ത case. In that case, you cannot. Another case that you cannot apply the sensor, maybe due to the limitations of the sensor. So in that case, you can use any observers. There are different kinds of observer. So Kalman filter is one among them observer. Okay. So if you have a system model, so that can estimate, Kalman filter can estimate the unavailable states or unavailable state using the available system model and the system output. For any other observer that I'm telling, right, there are sliding mode observer. Okay. So this observer can also be used to estimate the unmeasurable states. So unmeasurable state I am mentioning again and again in that case where you cannot use a sensor to measure that quantity. So unmeasurable ഒരു quantity ഉണ്ടെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ you can use this kind of observer or a filter എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് Kalman filter പേരുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളൂ, it's an observer. You can state using the observer instead of a sensor.
Okay, we have covered almost the question, and we are going to wind up the session. So I would like to thank you for the session and sharing our platform with students, and it was a great opportunity to, as well as students and us, dealing with a session like this. And I would like to thank you again in the name of ASAP. Okay, thank you, sir, and thank you everyone.